welcome people to a new show called The Agenda on The Zone. We've had so much football over the past week and over this Christmas week, we couldn't just put it into one podcast. So today we have a new show that's going to be filled with a lot of football talk. We're going to be chatting about the games that have happened over the week. And we're going to throw in our own little agendas. Today I am joined by a Laker and Chelsea fan, one of my boys, Kojo. How are you doing today?
That's a great introduction, bro. But yeah, I'm doing very well, man. How are you doing?
I'm good, you know. I mean, we have had some issues with Chelsea, which we'll touch on. But other than that, everything is live. Everything is good. Christmas is coming around. You went to the PlayStation.
Are you a Christmas guy, bro?
Look, come on. I watch Home Alone. I watch EastEnders and listen to the Bieber Christmas album every year. Come on.
Really? Wait. Forget Bieber. Wait. You watch EastEnders?
Bro, come on. I love EastEnders.
You actually watch EastEnders? Really? You as a Northerner, you actually watch EastEnders?
Of course I watch EastEnders, but we'll talk about that off air. But yeah,
okay,
I do like my EastEnders.
Alright, cool.
I think the best way to really start this show off is just to quickly recap the game we've just seen, which is Man United and Sheffield. Man United 3-2. On the surface, the scoreline looks a difficult scoreline, but Man United were in control a lot of the game. They went 1-0 down, came back and went 3-1 up for the majority of the game, and then slowly Sheffield was plugging away and scored a second goal. When you look at this game, what were your little takeaways from it? Because for me personally, I just saw a Man United team that were playing confident football. I know I've been critical of Pogba. I thought he had a really good game in midfield. I like the link up here with Rashford and Martial. I also really liked, I know a lot of people looked at the ball that Pogba plays to Martial for the goal and thought it was to Wan-Bissaka. I personally thought he was in that to Martial. I loved the link up between them two. I thought this is one of Man United's most solid games, even though the scoreline doesn't reflect it. So I just thought I'd quickly ask your opinion on that.
Yeah, I thought United played relatively quite well, do you know what I'm saying? It took them quite a bit of a while to kind of grow into the game, do you know what I'm saying? But they took the goals very nicely, man, you know what I'm saying? Rashford goal, took it very nicely, you know what I'm saying? Nice control, finished it very well. And of course, a bit of a mistake, you know, from Sheffield's end, you know, Ramsdale, that whole defence was a bit of a calamity. And, you know, Martial kind of, stabbing the ball in, do you know what I'm saying? And putting that 2-1 ahead, but very well deserved. And United's attack, man, it gets heavily, overlooked. Do you know what I'm saying? They got one of the best attacks in the league. Do you know what I'm saying? And on their day, they can be very, very devastating to like top 6, top 4 teams. Do you know what I'm saying? I just feel like because of the whole situation of their inconsistency, no one really gives them that type of credit. But we need to give them credit, man. Rashford, Martial, Greenwood, it's just a dangerous lineup, man. Bruno Fernandes, do you know what I'm saying? Doing his thing, the creativity, because you got Lapoche, Pogba, stepping and doing his thing, do you know what I'm saying? So it's a very dangerous attack, and they're at it again, man. They're very threatening when they move forward with pace, do you know what I'm saying? And the third goal proved that, bro. That nice little 1-2, Bruno, who was it? Bruno and Martial, and then, do you know what I'm saying? Rashford, nice finish. So
on that,
yeah.
You talked about Man United's defence. I mean, not attack. When you look at Sheffield's defence right now, they are they have officially the worst start to a Premier League season ever. Derby's point, I believe it was the 2007-8 season when they got relegated with the lowest point.
Yeah.
I think a lot of people are believing that Sheffield United will be relegated. Do you think, one, they will stick with Chris Wilder through the rest of the season? And two, will they finish with lower points than Derby did?
Right now, they're only on 1 point. They've only drew once, isn't it? And they've lost, 12 times? That's honestly horrible. Would they stick with Chris Wilder? You know what? See, personally, for me, like the way I look at it is what they should do. I think they should stick with him because, like, right now, I feel like after, 10 to 12 games there, when you're in December, usually, I can see where, a team's going to go. You get just where a team's going to finish, how they're going to do. I just can't see them pick up enough points in this run of games they've got from now until the end of the year, where I feel like they're going to lose the next 5 games. I feel like their next upcoming fixtures, they're going to lose them. Do you know what I'm saying? At best, they're going to get a draw. And that's not good enough. They need to get wins, you know what I'm saying? They need to get those 3 points. Need to get them quick. So I feel like sacking Chris Wilder, it's kind of like touching the West Brom thing as well, like what they did yesterday with the whole situation with Sam Bilic and now getting, Big Sam. Hold tight, Big Sam. It's good timing back. But I feel like it makes no sense because if you're going to go relegated, if your fate is kind of really if there's a good chance of your fate you going down, then I don't see the point of changing the manager because it's not going to change anything. And I think that kind of shows that it's not entirely the manager's fault or the coach's fault. Yeah. Of course, it's on the players as well. But I just feel like if you know that your fate, you got to be realistic at the same time. If you know this team has no chance, you don't have it in them to kind of put on a really good run of games where they can win and get good points and, kind of get survival, like what Leicester did back in 2015, then, in my opinion, you just got to hold it up and just, take your due and say that this season we were not good enough and we deserve to get relegated. But football is crazy, man. It's a very wonderful, complex game, so anything can happen. But I'll say for me, I think if Sheffield after Christmas period going towards Boxing Day, or after Boxing Day, I feel like if they still haven't picked that win, then maybe Sheffield do have a right to kind of, part ways with Chris Wilder.
And you talked about just teams on form and Sheffield's poor form. Two teams that are on real form that played yesterday with Liverpool and Tottenham. Now, after Liverpool won 2-1, a 90th minute Firmino header to score the goal, to get the game winner, sorry. After the game, Mourinho made a comment to say that the best team didn't get the win. And if you look...
That's typical Mourinho.
That is classic Mourinho.
Yeah.
Look at the way the game is played. I can recall 4 clear-cut opportunities that Tottenham had. As I look at Liverpool, I can't see that as much. I looked at the way Tottenham set up perfectly for me to get a win in that way. There are 2 blocks of 4, 4-4-2, Son and Harry Kane. Then you have a block of 4 there that can sit just in front of the defence. And with that, they were able to score the first goal as well. Then I looked at 2 Bergwijn chances, one where he flashes across the post and then one where he hits the post. Then Harry Kane's header, which was a poor attempt from my end. So if I really looked at that, I could see where Mourinho was saying that the best team didn't get the win. Liverpool, on the other hand, controlled the ball. They had a lot more of the possession. They did essentially have they had more of a passing percentage. They had more passing in the final third. But then they only could score from a set piece to win the game. So my question to you is, what do you believe Mourinho was right to say them comments? And what was your takeaway from the actual game? So do you see Spurs as title contenders, or do you feel like they may possibly drop off and Liverpool's win is a recipe for them to continue on and winning games?
Okay. Well, I didn't really watch too much of the game personally. I only caught the second half, or bits of the second. I was alternating between the Liverpool game and watching Milan against Genoa. Yeah. So, but of course, I watched the highlights. Obviously, Tottenham played well. They had a lot of good chances, man. You know what I'm saying? Bergwijn, Kane, Son. They had some really good chances to win the game, and they had a good approach to the game, in my opinion, from what I saw when I was actually watching it live. But for me, Mourinho saying that, I'm not surprised. That's typical Mourinho. And in some sense, he's got a point. Tottenham, for me, had the most clear-cut chances. They looked the most threatening to get a goal, but they didn't take their chances. But that's on them. Liverpool have a really, kind of fierce home record of 66 games unbeaten now. That this, it's ridiculous. You know what I'm saying? But you know that this team can come back. They're champions. They've got the mentality. They've got a really good world-class manager of Jurgen Klopp. Do you know what I'm saying? So you should really know how, it can go if you don't really take your chances. Do you know what I'm saying? And if you're a team which want to compete, you have to take those chances against your rivals. And I feel like Liverpool did what they got to do. Do you know what I'm saying? They weren't playing great, even at home. But you have to remember, this Liverpool team are depleted with injury, bro. Like, they're not fully strength. No. If Liverpool were fully strength, they would wipe the floor with Tottenham. I'm not cap. I said this to any Tottenham fan. If Liverpool fully strength in that game, all them man them, do you know what I'm saying? Van Dijk, Thiago, Jota, even Robertson, do you know what I'm saying? If they had a fully strength team.
I'm going to interrupt you there. Mourinho made the best point. When he says certain players, Alisson, he's a star. He was playing.
Yeah.
Salah, Mane, they're playing. I believe Henderson was also. So they had the minus Van Dijk, they were playing. I have always said this, that Jurgen Klopp gets a pass as a manager. He is able, certain bits of his, certain things that he's been saying now.
Sorry, wait. What do you mean he gets a pass as a manager?
So he can get away with certain things, saying certain things, acting under the notion of passion. Like Mourinho did, which if you are objective, you can see that he will get away with certain more, that he can run out of the technical area that they're meant to be in. He can haggle a referee here or there. Then he'll make comments at broadcasters. I believe that has slowly faded with Klopp, but it's still there. And injuries for me are not an excuse, because you are a really good team. You should know you have the finances, the resources to understand that you can buy players. You have an elite academy. That's not an excuse for me, really.
Yeah. But you got to look at... So, sorry to interrupt, you really got some good points there. I agree with most of them anyways. But I think like what people don't understand, you just touched on the point about transfers. Yeah. Bro, they made 2 transfers, Jota and Thiago. Both of them are injured. Do you know what I'm saying? But again, you're right. Injuries is a part of the game of football. It's a part of the game. You got to take it. Do you know what I'm saying? And this is always going to come to Liverpool because if you look at last 2 seasons, 1920, 18, 19, they went full out. They went full out in terms of like 18, 19. The objective was to compete for the league and kind of go for the Champions League. They almost won the league by just losing to a point to City and won the Champions League. And they hardly rotated their squad within those competitions of the Premier League and UCL. They hardly rotated. So a lot of their players were burnt out after that season. But they were very fit, do you know what I'm saying? And with Liverpool, they play high intensity football, do you know what I'm saying? So it's obviously going to take a toll on the players. Last season, they went all ham on the Premier League title and had a historic season, do you know what I'm saying? Of course, it was kind of riddled with certain, factors and anomalies regarding the other teams, but they had an amazing season. And then, so as of that, and you've got to look at the situation right now, we've had a shortened, pre-season. So players haven't had enough time to recover, and really get to, preparations for this upcoming season. It's just been rushed in because of COVID. So it was quite expected Liverpool going to hear injuries. I think Liverpool have dealt with it okay. They still managed to get results. They're still top of the league right now. Yeah. And what I can just take from this game against Spurs, if they were fully strength, for me, I think this would have been an easy win for Liverpool. And they have a very good record against Spurs at Anfield. So, yeah, they did a job. They got the win in the most difficult situations. Roberto Firmino stepping up. That's powerful header. They take it and move on to the next game.
So, one thing I looked at when it came to Liverpool was the fact that they had a lot of possession in the game. Liverpool allows that, which is fine. We understand that. It looks more eye-catching and more pleasant for, I guess, a neutral fan to see Liverpool with the ball and playing the way they do. I want to contrast that to another team right now. Manchester City. Pep Guardiola, known for possession-based football. Why is it that Pep Guardiola, Man City right now, with their style of football, sometimes is criticised, but when you look at something like Liverpool, they are applauded for holding the ball, having possession stuff. Why is it that Guardiola's teams are now criticised compared to, like, for example, Liverpool, who have the possession a lot more?
I think maybe it's because Guardiola's had his own way for quite a while, like ever since he's come into management. Do you know what I'm saying? With the Barcelona team, the Bayern team, having really gifted squads. Liverpool's side is very good and they've strengthened a lot. And it's probably the second best team in the league in terms of like quality, in terms of the overall squad. Of course, you've got City up there, then you've got Liverpool, you've got Chelsea just below them in terms of overall squad quality. So I feel that's one of the reasons why. And I feel like with City, because of just their club in recent years, kind of spending the cash, spending a lot of P's and, millions and millions of pounds each transfer window, the media just kind of look negative towards City and expect City to be doing this in some way. Especially now, they've had quite a tricky, run of performances. They haven't really been playing great and really dominating in terms of taking the chance and really kind of getting those wins where they need to get those wins. So I feel like the media are just really kind of looking at the whole situation and really persisting on that. And I can't blame them personally because your City spent a lot of millions, of pounds, in transfer windows. And right now, you're not getting results. And that's all going to be being on Pep. Where right now, Jurgen Klopp, who's kind of built his own team, coached his own team, developed players, made them better. I spent a good amount of money, not a lot compared to, Man City. And they play the same kind of football. They play with high intensity, though. City don't. They're a bit more luxury. They kind of just create space, play the little passes into the space and move around and kind of more tiki-taka. It's more fluid. It's a bit more of that type of Spanish football that, Guardiola has that theology. Do you know what I'm saying? But with, Jurgen Klopp, his football is very high intensity, it's high octane, and they're winning games. And they've done it in a way where they've done it in a natural way of kind of creating a good team where you're just kind of developing players, not spending too much money. And the players they're getting, they're not like household names. Like, Yotta's not a household name. The only player in recent years I'll say has been a household name that they've got, in my opinion, has been either, for me, Salah or Fabinho, do you know what I'm saying? And Thiago, of the last 6-5 years. City, they've got big... Van Dijk, I don't know. Like, see, for me, I was never really a big fan of Van Dijk. I feel like, for me, I've grown more of my admiration for Van Dijk since he's come to Liverpool. Do you know what I'm saying? He's really proven that at Liverpool. For me, personally, that's just my opinion. Do you know what I'm saying? You have an opinion, other than have an opinion. That's cool. But for me, I've never seen Van Dijk. For me, before Liverpool as a tier 2 defender, just like kind of like a tier 3. Now he's world class. Now he's shown that these past 3 seasons at Liverpool. So yeah, man.
On City though, because they drew 1-1, I watched.
Yeah, that's poor. Mm-hmm.
They were slow, and I've seen them a bit slow. But then for the final 10 minutes, the intensity was driven up. Why do you think that's just a natural thing now of Man City as a squad, as in that it is aging and it needs some more rotation? Or do you think Pep can get these guys more motivated and be able to play that fluid football that you were talking about previously? Because right now, it's unlucky. If you watch the game, Raheem Sterling misses he heads the ball straight at the goalkeeper. Ilkay Gundogan does the save. Had they get one of the chances in, we'd be looking at another conversation here.
Yeah.
What does Pep Guardiola need to do to not reinvent this team? Because we've seen how Guardiola is. He's quite, I wouldn't say stubborn, but he understands his philosophy of football is the way to win, and eventually it will happen. What does he do for these players? Is it a case of genuine reinvestment or just motivate these players?
You know, I feel like it's a bit of both. City right now, for me, they don't have an attack which for me is like really, really consolidated, if that makes sense. Like, of course, you've got the individual brilliance of, De Bruyne, Sterling, Jesus, Ferran Torres, do you know what I'm saying? Bernardo Silva. But I feel like right now, it's just not really gelling. And I feel like probably City don't have that striker which can get them 20 to 25 goals in the league.
He's injured.
Oh, yeah. That's Aguero. And he's very injury prone. And he's getting older. I think he's 32, Aguero. 31, 32. He's getting older. And he's been in the Premier League since, 2011. That's 9 years, you know what I'm saying? And, of course, that's going to take a toll on him, especially as we know he's very injury prone, isn't it? So I feel like he's kind of getting slower. He's not regressing massively, but his game was not as peak as it was, from 2012 to 2018. Do you know what I'm saying? The last 2 years, he's kind of taken a step back. Which, you know what? It is what it is. It's life, it's football, it's sport. Do you know what I'm saying? It's going to happen. So I feel like for me, City this summer should have looked at another striker where they can really grow and develop, and that guy can be reliable in situations where you can count on him. For me, Jesus is a luxury player for me. I don't think he's a guy which is going to work hard on a consistent basis and produce. Because you got guys who work hard and give the effort, but as a striker, you need someone who can produce and get those goals at crunch time. See, you don't have that. Do you know what I'm saying? De Bruyne is not going to get you 20 to 20 goals in the league. Sterling's not going to get you that. Do you know what I'm saying? He may get you around 10 to 15. 100% he can do that. Do you know what I'm saying? Ferran Torres, he's been all right. Do you know what I'm saying? He's looked quality. Do you know what I'm saying? But he's not an out-and-out forward.
In the Champions League, Ferran Torres has looked pretty good. Translate that.
Yeah, he's looked really good. He's looked really good. Yeah, he's looked really good. But City's form in the Champions League has been better than the league so far this season. But they kind of have, and they always get an easy group in the Champions League, innit? So I'm not really going to, try to, praise City on that because, they should be doing well in the Champions League because of their group. But right now in the league, I just feel like they just need a breath of fresh air. Like, defensive-wise, I don't think they've improved defensively. Like, Diaz, he's been what?
I will just say, I think people criticise City's defence a bit too much. City's defence is really good. The problem is the style of...
the defence... Question, before I let you go, Abbas, I would say the defence has been tier 1. It's not like a really outstanding defence. They just keep the ball very well. So teams don't really have enough time, or teams don't really have the chance to really kind of attack on them. And when teams do, which usually a counter-attack, the City are vulnerable, especially their fullbacks. They're very vulnerable. John Stones is not a great defender. Kyle Walker's declining. Mendy's overrated. Diaz looks okay. Ake looks okay, which I'm saying, but they're not tier 2, tier 1 defenders. Do you know what I'm saying? Laporte is the only real good quality centre-back. He's on the cusp of more class. He's like a very high tier 2. You look at Otamendi, this guy done out here, bro. He's not a top 2, or top tier, tier 2 defender. He's not, bro. Do you know what I'm saying? And he can easily get outpaced. Do you know what I'm saying? So for me, City is when it's been attacked on. Do you know what I'm saying? And when teams are really going at them, they can get got. They don't have a great defense. Just keep the ball well, so they're not really on attack most of the time against lower teams. Do you know what I'm saying? And for me, with City, it's got 2 issues in terms of their squad. They need to find that striker. They have to find that striker because Aguero, they can't rely on him no more. Personally, he's injury prone and he's getting a bit older. You can just see. Jesus is not that guy for me. He's not. He's a good player, keeping him squad. Do you know what I'm saying? He's a good player, but he's not that guy which can rely on night in, night out to get you those crunch time goals against top tier opposition as well. Do you know what I'm saying? Against top tier opposition, a top 6 and above. That's the criteria we have on, strikers in teams which are challenging for the Premiership and Champions League. Do you know what I'm saying? And secondly, I feel like the defence needs reinforcements. They need better defenders, fullbacks, man. Do you know what I'm saying? They need to upgrade both Benjamin Mendy and Kyle Walker. Kyle Walker's been shocking this season, bro. Horrible. Do you know what I'm saying? He's been shocking. So for me, City, it's not a major problem. I just think it'll just be a tweaks. And if they can get those tweaks, maybe January or next summer, they should be fine as a team which have a general chance to win the Premier League again. And of course, who knows, break their little duck in the UCL.
So one team, when we talk about transfers, has spent a bit of money, and for some reason, now we are
our team.
Yeah, we are both fans of the team. They're now being officially criticised because they've spent money on certain players on doing. And we are talking about Chelsea. 2 games in a row where we've lost. I looked at the Everton game that we got beat, and I said this a lot as well. I didn't think we would ever score in that game. The Wolves game that we lost, I believe we handed that loss to them. I looked at the setup of Frank Lampard.
We did,
Timo Werner out wide on the left is not working. Now, for RB Leipzig, he did play out wide, but he was allowed to come in. At this present time, when I was watching him, he was just hugging that touchline as if he was the wide option, which for me does not work. Another player, we'll touch on actually after, I want your opinion on Frank Lampard's tactics and how he's dealt with Timo Werner first as his main central striker. Because I personally think it started off well, but what has happened is Giroud has played in a way that has forced Lampard's hand to put him into the team. Similarly, in some ways where he's trying to keep Tammy Abraham, what that has then done is nullified Timo Werner by putting him out wide. If you could play him 1-to-1 with a Giroud or a Tammy Abraham, I think that would be fine. It's just hard to incorporate. I understand that. So is that just Lampard's growing pains as a manager, or is it a bit more deep-rooted where Timo Werner probably is just struggling to adapt to Premier League football and with Lampard's tactics?
All right, so to break down your question, so with regards to Timo Werner, last year at Leipzig, or right, kind of his prominence, at Leipzig, when he was manager under Ralf Hasenhüttl and of course Julian Nagelsmann. For me, Julian Nagelsmann really kind of utilised him very well. He knew his strength and he also knew his weakness, and he fully focused on kind of getting the best out of his strength. And I was playing him on the left-hand side, but it was a bit more deeper than compared to where at times we've been playing him. We've been playing a bit... they've been playing a bit more forward when he was at Leipzig. We've been playing slightly a bit deeper at times.
We pushed to the left hand. You stayed there.
Where for me, he would cut in through the left-hand side. Do you know what I'm saying? He would just roam when he was at Leipzig. Do you know what I'm saying? Even though he spent most of his time, in Leipzig on the left-hand side, and we're like, why he's not doing it, for Chelsea? Why is it been quite inconsistent? Well, for me, I just feel like the manager has gotten the best out of him. Julian Nagelsmann has gotten the best out of, his countrymen. Do you know what I'm saying? I don't think Lampard has gotten the best out of him. And this is where you kind of question Lampard's tactics and his overall management and his overall philosophy as a manager. Do you know what I'm saying? Is he really that guy which can really kind of utilise the best out of his players? Coming from foreign leagues, maybe with homegrown players, of course. He's done it with Mount. Hold tight, Mason Mount. He's doing really well.
Reece James. Ben Chilwell to a lesser extent. The only one in terms of home talent that I'm a bit disappointed with is Tomori. But Mason Mount and Reece James excelled for me. I think Lampard's with them too.
They've done really well.
Solid. He's made Reece James for me the best fullback in the league. I know some
hands down.
But no, Reece James for me right now is the best fullback. But Timo Werner again.
And what also you got to look at is that not just the Bundesliga, it's one of the most exciting leagues to watch in terms of football and the high octane games they've got. Leverkusen, Dortmund, Mönchengladbach, Leipzig, Bayern, man. They've got some quality ballers there. I like the Bundesliga. I've been watching it quite a lot recently. I'm thrilled to watch the league, do you know what I'm saying? But one thing we do got to realize, teams outside the top 4, their defense is not great, bro. And the Premier League defense is not great as well. The Premier League has dipped in terms of its overall quality in the last 3 seasons. And football has become a bit more repetitive, a bit more, that kind of a bit, it's not as high octane, or it's not as, the value of the general game of football that we grew up watching in some sense. But you got to look at the levels. The Bundesliga's defense is not on the standard where it's on the Premierships. Do you know what I'm saying? It's not as, like, in the Premier League, we're very aware, if that makes sense. You got individual mistakes, do you know what I'm saying, from certain players, and of course, even certain lower teams, but the defensive intensity is much, much better in the Premier League than the Bundesliga. Do you know what I'm saying? And that's facts. And, we've known this for years. So I think we kind of have to reinstate that. The defensive intensity in the Bundesliga is nowhere near or is not at the same level, shall I say, as the Premier League. So for me, Timo Werner, for me, he's not going to get the chances he had in Germany. He's not going to have the space or the amount of time he had on the ball in Germany compared to right now in England. Even Havertz said it. It's completely different. And I think he needs to adjust. It's the same thing with Havertz needs to adjust and kind of be aware of that. And I don't think, for me, him on the left, for me, is going to be a great, great thing at Chelsea. Because I was speaking to on this topic, one of our guys, who's also a member of the Zone podcast. I was speaking to this a couple of days ago. And we were having a bit of a discussion about Timo Werner on the left-hand side. Now, he doesn't have the technical proficiency to be a left-handed side wide player. He doesn't, for me. He needs to be on the central, do you know what I'm saying? But he's not your conventional central forward, do you know what I'm saying? So Lampard, again, needs to kind of think of a way in terms of, utilising him in that type of preferred role. But again, make it a bit more sensible on how you're going to kind of complement other players in the team, such as Pulisic, when, Ziyech, do you know what I'm saying? And, your Mounts and Havertz. And again, he's doing a horrible thing with Havertz right now. I'm going to speak to that soon. But for me, I just feel like with Werner, you can't stick out on the left because for me, it's not the Bundesliga. And he doesn't have the technical proficiencies to be a consistent, amazing, left-handed side forward player. He's not, because he can't really dribble that well. He's got pace, but he's got no ball control like that. His dribbling is not on the level of, let's say, your Eden Hazard, your Pulisic, your ZX. He can't really beat his man. Do you know what I'm saying? He runs with his head down, which is so, so poor. As a 24-year-old grown professional striker, you're taught when you're young, when you're playing football, to always kind of keep your head up. Why are you running with your head down? It doesn't make sense. So I'm very shocked about that. So Lampard needs to realize it's not working on the left. Play him central. But he's not, for me, a conventional striker. Because even at central, he's a bit isolated unless he links up with someone. And for me, that situation, his link-up play is not that great. But when he's in that central position, it helps him a lot because he's in a position where he can kind of come off the defender, run into space, and get a good goal-scoring opportunity. You can't really do that out wide on the left-hand side. It's not working. Lampard needs to fix up, look at your issues, adjust them, and sort it out, do you know what I'm saying? Because if we're not, we're going to keep dropping points, man, and we're going to get all these criticism, the media's going to get onto us, all Chelsea fans are going to be upset, whatnot, you know what I'm saying? We'll have these debates. Now, I think you want to touch on Havertz. How are you seeing Havertz right now in so far in the Chelsea team, man? Are you starting to get worried, or are you starting to not believe, Havertz no more?
I am not worried about Kai Havertz whatsoever. I said this, and I'm actually kind of shocked that a lot of football fans don't have a brain sometimes. What?
Word.
One thing I've always said is price tags are not dictated by a player.
100%.
By the market.
Yeah.
And then you put in age, you put in the factor that he has COVID, he had COVID. This is what I always say. I want the same energy for Kai Havertz that opposition teams fans and Man United fans had for Paul Pogba. When he came back from COVID, they allowed him a pass for so long to the point where he demanded a transfer or possibly demanded a transfer. Today was his first notable game that I can remember him playing all season. And Kai Havertz, injuries. He's had problems where he's adapted to his position. Prior to having COVID, he had 3 goals, he had a couple of assists, and also he had that little energy about him. This takes it out of you. I feel like a lot of people are not understanding that he has come not with a Premier League body.
And he's young as well. You have to remember, he's 21 and, sorry to interrupt you before I let you go again. Yeah. What I think we need to kind of understand is that this year's been a very difficult year, man. It's been a very horrible year. And in terms of football, how it's had a shape on football, the preseason's been much shorter. Like, usually players that usually get around, 2.5 months off, just international, making tournament, you know what I'm saying? This year there was supposed to be, of course, the Euros, but COVID. So if you look at an average, a player should have at least 2.5 months off, depending on, in any, major tournament of a player is involved in a major tournament.
Yeah.
But this year, it's only, I think, 5 weeks?
5 weeks off. But the only thing I will
5 weeks off?
That is...
You have to kind of come to a new league?
In between. So,
oh, the 4 months, yeah. We had a 3 months layoff because of the COVID outbreak, yeah.
I don't even look at that. I just personally just see a young player who's come into a new environment, has had moments where he has been good,
yeah.
But the fact that people will put a price tag and say, because of the price tag, well, nobody has said to, Kai Havertz has not come out and said, I am a £72 million player. And I said the same to an extent. Of course, you have an expectation for that, which is fine. I get that. But then you need to take a step back, understand he's young. This is his first time in the Prem. He's playing with an expectation now for a team that's arguably set to win a league title or should in the future. And then you have COVID-19. I cannot stress that enough now, how much that impacts people. So the fact that that has happened and people have seen him come back and it takes a while to get back into it, I always just think this guy just needs a break. Just need him to sit back and relax. Now, the one thing I will get on Frank Lampard is I don't personally think he's utilising his forwards very well.